Hey Internet, it's your old friend Dominic here with the All-American Casino Guide. Now on this channel we talk a lot about cheating in poker, and we've even talked about the biggest cheats to ever play the game, but we never talk about professional poker players who happen to have been caught cheating, and it happens a lot more frequently than you might think. It's a deplorable activity that quite frankly would make Kenny Rogers roll in his grave. So without further ado, let's get to our top 4 professional poker cheats of all time. Number 4, Mike POSTLE. For our first entry on the list, we're going to go with a recent entry, and that is the Mike POSTLE controversy of 2019. Now, Mike POSTLE was a regular poker player at the Stones Gambling Hall just outside of Sacramento, California, where amongst other things, games are streamed online. Initially seen as just a regular average player, his popularity grew exponentially as he kept winning game after game, even earning the nickname The Apostle, as he seemed to have possessed some sort of superhuman ability to know exactly what the other players were holding. His so-called God-winning streaks were all anybody was talking about. That is until professional poker player Veronica Brill showed up one fine evening and immediately suspected that something was amiss. These suspicions eventually grew into a full investigation, having internet detectives comb over literally hundreds of Mike POSTLE's hands that had previously been recorded in live streams. The investigation turned out exactly what we said, is that Mike POSTLE seemed to have some sort of superhuman ability to always know what the other players had. For example, he would always make these large bluffs in situations where nobody actually had a hand, or he would fold his hand in situations where players had better ones. It was this continuing pattern of behavior that really started to stack up against him and make the case that Mike POSTLE was a cheat. His most suspicious behavior was his habit of staring at his phone. He would be very nervous about a certain decision he had to make, but then he would glance down at his phone and then he would confidently make the winning move every single time. The real suspicious thing of all was that he kept the cell phone very secretly tucked in his lap. The consensus is that Mr. Apostle had an accomplice who must have had direct access to the whole card cameras and was feeding information about his opponent's hands directly to him via his cell phone. Recently, Mr. Apostle and a number of other suspects have been sued by players who have lost to him, and the case is going down as the largest cheating scandal in the history of broadcast poker. Number 3, Christian LUSARDI. Back in 2014, casual gambler Christian LUSARDI headed to a poker tournament at the Borgata Casino in Atlantic City to try to pull something not so Christian. 3 days into the tournament, though, the casino realized that there were over $800,000 in counterfeit chips circulating around the tables, so they shut down the tournament and started investigating. All evidence pointed to LUSARDI, who was literally caught red-handed trying to flush $3 million in counterfeit chips down his hotel room toilet. I have to really wonder how many flushes it would have taken to get rid of $3 million in chips. It probably only would have taken one if you had one of those airplane toilets, just like suck everything right out. But if he has one of those low flow, no flush toilets that they install in hotels nowadays, it would have taken weeks. It was discovered that LUSARDI had bought the counterfeit chips from China and had printed the Borgata's logo directly on them in order to enter the tournament illegally. After pleading guilty to counterfeiting and copyright infringement, Mr. LUSARDI was sentenced to 5 years in prison in order to pay $1 million in fines. This, of course, is in addition to the fines he had to pay the hotel to repair the damage he had done to the toilet, flushing all those counterfeit chips. Number 2, Billy the Egyptian. Now, back in 2018, this fine gentleman was busted at the Alea Casino in Glasgow, Scotland, where he earned the name the Egyptian because of his habit of wearing Egyptian-style sandals. Billy got some undue attention after some winning streaks where he made some questionable decisions and seemingly always came out on top. And it was this habit of winning despite making bad decisions that really got other players suspicious, and they got them to start looking into him a little bit deeper. That's when he was accused of colluding with the dealer using a marked deck and an electronic device that would scan the top few cards. Soon enough, Billy's picture was making the rounds on the internet, and people were told not to play against him, and a number of casinos were told to outright ban him. You're banned, Billy. The really sad part of this is that apparently Billy had been running this scam at the same casino for at least a few months. No legal action has been taken against Billy the Egyptian yet, but it's been heard that he's currently in London. All the casinos there have already been informed of his presence and to be on the lookout for him in case he decides to get back up to his old mischievous intentions. Oh, and that dealer friend of his from the Alea Casino in Glasgow? Yeah, they got fired. Number 1. The Portuguese poker prodigy. For this one, we're gonna go all the way back to 2011 to the legend of the Portuguese poker prodigy, an underdog who came out of nowhere to rock the online poker world. Joe Macedo started playing poker at the tender age of 16 using a fake account, as at the time, of course, he was underage. After making a modest €30 deposit, he quickly turned it into 2,500, which of course inspired him to play for hours and hours more to become a better poker player. He then started getting into poker software and a number of poker forums, and it might have been here where his obsession with winning started to grow. At the age of 18, he revealed his true identity and was immediately hailed as a prodigy and a true champion in the making. However, all good stories come to an end, as Jose was caught red-handed, cheating, as he was working as a poker coach via Skype, where he would coach his players on what to do next. Unbeknownst to his students, though, he was actually playing against them under an alias and using his knowledge of what cards they had in order to cheat them out of their money. Although he was never arrested, all of his online poker accounts have either been suspended or outright banned, and he's been ordered to pay 60,000 euros to the players that he has duped over the years. Ultimately, I feel this is a really sad case because I'm sure this guy was a really good poker player who just simply got a little too greedy. Tragic, really. Unfortunately, that's the end of our list. I really hope you learned 2 valuable lessons today. The first, cheating is wrong. And the second, cheaters never prosper. If you have any great cheating stories, please leave them as a comment down below. We would love to hear from you. And guys, while you're at it, clickety-clack that like button, pound that big red subscribe button if you haven't already, while ring-a-ding-dinging that notification bell and making sweet, sweet love to that share button. For sharing truly is caring. My name's Dominic, this is the All-American Casino Guide, wishing you luck and reminding you as always, play responsibly.